deep into the strength of the Wildcat defense.
Rudy Carpenter, now on Rockin' Manooch on Fox Sports 910 on FM at 99.9.
You guys are hot.
That's right, Rudy on the right Toyota guest line here on Fox Sports 910. I was hoping to come back with a little Clayton Tune because I want to start with that and basically say, hey, Clayton Tune could be the starter on day one, which is hard to believe. A fifth-round pick, 139th overall, it could be the guy. And I want to get Rudy's thoughts on that. Rudy, first, we're going to, of course, to get into the Pac-12, Big 12, but your thoughts about a Clayton Tune who came out thinking he was the best quarterback of all of them anyway, who may not get to prove himself on day one of the opening season.
Well, I think it's a great opportunity for him, right? If you're him, this is the best case scenario. If you're him, you couldn't ask for a better start to your NFL career, considering the fact you were a fifth-round pick. As we all know, we've seen it happen a million times. Some no-name guy gets a chance to go in there and be the starter, and next thing you know, he never ever comes off the field again, And again, I'm not saying Brock Purdy was a no-name guy, but he was a guy that wasn't expected to be a starter, right, with the 49ers, at least this soon. I'm sure he had hopes, dreams, and ambitions, but everybody looked at Trey Lance as the guy. Next thing you know, you get a guy who's been a winner his whole life, and Brock Purdy gets a chance to go in there and play for the 49ers, and now he's, probably considered their franchise guy. So for Tune, it's like the best situation possible, right? But if you're the Arizona Cardinals, this is like doomsday, you know what I mean? Like, you're still trying to sell season tickets. You're still trying to sell corporate boxes and sponsorships, and everyone already thinks you're going to be terrible this year as it is. And now you're on to your third string quarterback, possibly opening day. Just not really a good situation for the Arizona Cardinals.
So, Rudy, when you get a chance, they got Denver on Friday night with this young man. It seems as though everything is hinting, as Rock alluded to, that they're going to play him a lot, give him a lot of reps. What do you want to see in this young man if they do play him, majority of these three preseason games, if they're leaning that way to start him?
Yeah, just a command, right? I mean, a command of the huddle, a command on the sidelines, a command throughout the course, of each individual play. What you're looking for a guy like him is a smooth operation. Can he get in the huddle? Can he get out of the huddle? Can he get the right play called? Can he make the right check adjustment for audible at the line of scrimmage? Another thing that people, write off and think is very easy is quarterback center exchange. Quarterback center exchange is very difficult when you're with a new center and you haven't gotten a ton of reps in doing it. So, you just want to really see a smooth operation. Outside of the smooth operation, then you want to see him execute basic football plays, right? Execute in the run game, execute in the pass game. And if you can see him do all of those things, then as a head coach or as an offensive coordinator, that once you get more specific into the game planning and more specific for an opponent you're playing, where you're game planning, because that's another thing to remember is going into these, preseason games, they're not going to game plan at all. They're just going to run their offense and their base offense. And so once you can get into a real game and start game planning, you believe you'll be able to kind of game plan around him. You'll be able to build a plan that's best suited for him and fits him. And so you just want to be able to see him execute and play turnover-free football is really what you're looking for.
Rudy Carpenter is our guest on the right Toyota guest line. Rudy, I did watch a couple of Houston games because I have no life last season. The kid can play. Is this a case in point, what you just alluded to, that this has happened recently in the past, that some so-called no-name comes in and lights it up in camp and then takes control and never gives that job back? I mean, for me, is everybody in the NFL now looking to find the next Brock Purdy?
Well, I mean, the NFL is a copycat league, and it's always a good feel-good story when you can find a guy like Kurt Warner, or you can find a guy like Brock Purdy, or even Kirk Cousins. I think you got to remember that Kirk Cousins, Brock Purdy, very similar situations, right? They They both had high picks in front of them. They come in as a later round pick and end up making it, Well, I don't want to say that all NFL teams are looking for that, because the analytics and the statistics still prove, that the guys who are going to be successful are the guys who are picked high in the draft. And the reason why those guys are picked high in the draft is because they possess, a whole bunch of physical attributes and physical talents that give them an advantage to be successful in the NFL. I think what the NFL is looking for more so than anything else is quarterback's your most important position. It's the most important position in all of sports. And every single team out there is desperate to find a guy who, they believe can take them to that next level and win a bunch of games. And, I don't think the NFL cares anymore whether it's a first-round pick or an undrafted free agent. However, I do think the Arizona Cardinals care, because they got a whole bunch of money invested in Kyler Murray, whether he plays or he doesn't play. And so, I think the Arizona Cardinals most definitely have a vested interest to get Kyler back on the field. I don't think it really matters how good the Toon kid plays. If he goes in there and plays great, and let's say he were to get lucky and start 5 or 6 games in a row and they were to be 5 or 6-0, unfortunately for him, I think he's in a position where it's not going to matter. As soon as Kyler comes back, they're going to make Kyler the starter because of the business side. It's easier when you're the 49ers to say, hey, sorry, Trey Lance, we're going to go with Brock Purdy because, yeah, you got, $15, $20 million or $30 million, whatever it is, invested in a guy like Trey Lance. If that's over the course of, 4 or 5 years, depending on that option. The amount of money the Niners have invested in Trey Lance is what, the yearly pay of Kyler is. So it's a little bit different situation.
Rudy Carpenter here on Fox Sports 910. Let's talk about the Pac-12, Big 12. You, as a former Pac-12